Well, here we are. We finally made it. The stream is happening. I think we're working. I think everything's all good. I'm getting thumbs up and waves from everybody. I'm delighted to say that I'm here with Shawn Tubbs. He's got some chops to die for. They keep coming out, and I keep thinking maybe I should give up finally. But I'll keep going. I'll keep going, I'm sure. But anyway, so Shawn, you've been over in Europe for 10 days or so, is it?
Yeah. We've been out here, I guess, since the 6th. Yes, we did Guitar Summit and then came over to UK.
Great.
Come hang out with you guys.
Great to get out and travel again.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I mean, I haven't really been in the UK since I was touring, so it's been nice to get back over here. And of course, I hadn't ever actually been to Germany, so
oh really?
That's been cool. Yeah, we were just in Mannheim, and then I think we're headed back to Frankfurt after this before we head back home.
Good food and beer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, all
of
around,
course.
yeah.
Always, always. So today what we're going to be doing is I've got a load of questions that a load of you guys have submitted for Shawn. I'm going to go through a load of those. We're going to talk about a few other questions that I've got as well. We're obviously going to talk quite a lot about the tilt pedal and how kind of Shawn uses it, etc., etc. So I think maybe we should just start on the first questions. Obviously, if any questions come in on YouTube, we'll try and get through as many of those as possible as well. But we're just going to run with it and kind of and see where it goes from there. If we just want to explain the signal chain to start with, you've got your Sir guitar.
Yeah. Yeah. My good old antique Pro. I've had this for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been great. It's got the ML pickups in it.
Yeah.
And then the
I like
SSV
those,
in the back. Yeah, they're
so
just
fairly stock. Kind of setup.
oh yeah, straight ahead, sir. Yeah, love it. Yeah, that into my tilt overdrive, into the 20 watt 6v6 driven D20 back there, and then in the effects loop, I've got the Flint just running a little bit of reverb to cover up my mistakes.
Why not? Why not? Right, so let's get started with the first question. How did you come to work with Rev?
Derek Eastveld, who's part owner of the company, he reached out to me to possibly demo some products. That's really where it started about a good 4 years ago. And we just kind of hit it off, basically talking about the product. And I just felt at the time it seemed like it was kind of a metal focused product. But me being not at all a metal player, having played the products, I was like, well, these are pretty dialable. You can kind of do whatever you want, And then within those conversations, we just began kind of bouncing ideas back and forth more, and eventually they started having me do more just kind of weekly content for them. And then that, one thing led to another, of course, into the tilt overdrive. But yeah, it really started, long story short, with demo videos.
Yeah, because I often saw the one of the amps sitting in your rack in the videos, and stuff, and obviously, we knew there was that connection before the pedal came out as well. So that's cool.
Yeah.
So next question was, what's the inspiration behind your signature tilt pedal? And I kind of want to expand on that a little bit because, like, to me, when I first plugged it in, I wasn't like, it sounds like, exactly like a Tube Screamer or an OCD or anything like that. It kind of, it just had a really organic, rich kind of sound to it, really amp-like sound. So
yeah. Well, that was honestly it because when Dan had approached me about doing it, he was like, well, what would be the sound in your head? And for me, I mean, there were pedals that I liked over the years, but I didn't want to point anything towards pedals.
No.
When I've plugged in like old high-powered like Tweed Twins or JTM 45s or anything that's kind of high-powered but non-master volume.
Yeah.
And you know how there's a dynamic to them, and there's a stringiness to them, and they can sound like they're really gainy, but they're not gainy kind of thing.
Dynamics, isn't there, overtones.
Yeah, so I basically wanted to kind of amalgamate all of that into one kind of simple overdrive circuit. I didn't want it to be an amp in a box.
No.
I didn't want it to be super, like active that way. But yeah, I really just wanted something that would respond like a single channel kind of tube amp, but all the way it would also kind of do the little Tweed boxes as well.
Yeah, well, having that the boost with the tilt and stuff on there as well really kind of helps you dial in, to suit the amp, doesn't it, as well, or simulate, as it were, not in like an amp in a box type simulation, but to kind of change the feel to like a Tweed Twin or something a bit more kind of bigger and open sounding as well.
Yeah, so. Exactly, because that's the tough side of the I knew I wanted to have a boost to basically create more saturation and slight levels up because it's only going in one direction into the overdrive, but I knew that would cause anomalies, and I thought, well, we can fix anomalies by having a tilt EQ, but also with that tilt, anomalies by sometimes you get a woolly low end or you get crazy top end harmonic things happening as you run boost. So that, you can fix that easily, but also you can quickly sculpt in whatever you need, just sweeping that.
Well, I found that all the controls certainly on the overdrive side all got such a good kind of taper. It isn't like where you have to really fine tune that treble to be like you go and too muddy and then it's cutting your head off with harshness. It's really active and and that gain level kind of works really well, doesn't it, all the way through?
Yeah, and that was important too. I didn't want. I mean, obviously, I didn't design the thing to be run at like extreme dimed out settings, but at the same time, I wanted someone to be able to just go ahead and turn the gain all the way up and not be reaching for the tone stack again.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly a great pedal for. Most of our customers, apart from the real high gain customers, we get our customers buying amps like the Rev or Two Rock, Dr. Z, that kind of thing. So they're either running it super high headroom or just kind of like almost how we've got the Rev set today. And it works great, doesn't it, with that? But I tried it through I think it was a higher gain Marshall, just using the boost side, and that just tightened everything up so well. So it isn't just like another kind of blues rock pedal or anything like that. It really is kind of a great Swiss Army knife, like sculptor of tone, basically. That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, that's it, John. Because I hate to use the word like utility, but man, it covers. You can cover so much ground with with that thing.
It's not the sort of pedal that when I first tried it, you don't just like plug it in, play like an open A power chord or something like that and go, oh yeah, like Marshall tone or anything like that. It just has its kind of, there's a lot more to it than that. So we're just getting some live streaming issues, or no? We're good. Why should I doubt you, Drew? Right, let's check on what is, let's look at another question here, and actually let me just see if there's anything on YouTube that's come through. Maybe we'll get to those at the end. We'll pick out some of the good ones here and get through to the end. So these are the ones that have come in over the last couple of weeks since we've been asking on email and YouTube for questions. So let's move into playing stuff. Who are your top 3 musical influences and why?
Top 3. I have to narrow that down quick. Django Reinhardt.
Yeah.
Michael Landau.
Heard you playing some real nice Jeff Beck stuff.
I was going to say, it's like I better go Jeff Beck because, it's like Landau.
He's kind of taken a lot of that Jeff Beck stuff, hasn't he?
But Jeff is a heartbreaking guitar player. Yeah. He's just so good. But yeah, I would say Landau. I mean, there's been a ton of influences, but if I could only pick 3, probably Django, Landau, and Beck. Yeah, just feel wise, because then you cram like Henderson. Schofield,
I know. Yeah, you can
Krantz,
kind of all those guys are just mind blowing, aren't they?
Yeah, but that would be the 3, and Landau just because, of course, Django innovator. Nobody's ever done Django, but Django. He started the whole Django.
Yeah.
And then of course Landau is just such an amazing feel, such an amazing pocket, so musical, always evolving.
I love Landau because like you watch him play with James Taylor and he's so well behaved and like plays everything perfectly, doesn't he? And then when you see him play like at the Baked Potato in LA, he just absolutely slams it, doesn't he? And you think, what a guy, can just do that and just does everything so kind of authentic, doesn't he? And just so well. But so like, we were talking quickly off air. I was asking about like your outside playing. So like for a player like me that kind of I get stuck on the pentatonic kind of stuff, and which has served me well. It's been okay. But like, how did you?
Great, man.
No, just thanks. But how did you learn, or is it just stuff that you've kind of developed over time, like Robin Ford type sort of stuff? And that kind of thing?
I mean, I'm still figuring out what it actually is.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is based on intervals, So, if you're playing like pentatonic, I'm looking for flat 5s, 9s, things like that, and I'll just figure out, okay, well then that's come back,
Yeah. So it's like a Dorian scale with the flat 5 as well.
Yeah, so dominant 7. There's your 9 flat 5. Because all I really know are the intervals. I don't really know like scales. So for me, the sharp 5 is here.
I'm impressed. I remembered that one anyway.
But like sharp 5 would be here. That is diminished.
Then coming in.
Some of that comes from Django. Some of that comes from Borelli Lagrin. Another big gypsy jazz guy, but I can't really point out like it's just this scale. it's just, yeah, shapes. You can move those anywhere. And the rest of it is just trying to find a landing point.
But the way you do it, it's great because you just add it in, like, rather than like some guys you listen to that do that stuff, it's just, they're burning up and down the neck, and I'm like, I just don't even know what key they're in.
Yeah.
Whereas when you do it, it kind of like really makes your ears prick up, and you think, oh yeah, that's really like stands out as something, that's adding to the licks and the soloing. So that's great stuff.
And going back and forth that way, I did get that from listening to Robin, because Robin would do, and he's so great. There's another big influence. But he would do that. Like he'd get outside, but he wouldn't stay outside. No. So you get, like someone like Ozanoy, who's just
crazy
oh my
player.
God.
Yeah.
But he can just sit outside for as long as he wants. Yeah. And it sounds great, but for me, it's like, no, I gotta bring back indoors where it's warm before I catch my death of cold.
Some of that like twisted blues stuff, and he's just crazy stuff that he's doing. He's just absolutely burning up the fretboard, and you hear like he's got Chris Layton playing drums for him, and he's like, how can you still keep that going? Like while he's, but he's obviously a great drummer, isn't he?
Oh,
so, no, that's awesome. That's great. Right, so I guess it's still kind of in the playing realm. Why did you decide to retire from live session work?
Well, that kind of came with being on tour for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I toured for 14 years, and in between those tours, I would try to find work. In Nashville, if you're a touring musician, what happens is while you're out on the road, you could be out for 3 months, 6 months, 8 months.
Yeah.
When you get back, you've been forgotten.
Yeah.
And by the time they figure out you're back, it's time to go.
Yeah.
And so after doing 14 years of touring, and that just boiled down to me just wanting to get off the bus and just be with my family.
Sure.
I just felt like I needed to turn the page. And then live sessions, it was one of those things where I just thought, well, what do I want to do? I was a little bit kind of burnt out on it. I mean, I still take, sessions at the house. People from LA will send me stuff, and I'll do that. Yeah. But as far as hauling out to a tracking session, I just kind of lost the push for it anymore. I may at some point get back into it, but I really just enjoy playing how I want to play and just kind of doing my thing. I've always kind of served the artist or served the
just
producer.
Want to be, sometimes you do need to be a bit more selfish, don't you, and do things that are gonna, and you can revisit that sort of stuff, can't you?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. To a degree, that stuff won't always be there for me. But at the same time, it's like, if I want to maybe try and get back into that, there's always, that's the great thing about Nashville, is there's always a place. It's a very competitive market, but there's always a place for you if you just put yourself out there. You can get back in.
So many great musicians, Guthrie Trapp, and
Guthrie's brilliant.
Yeah, he's just like what a great player as well. He's another one that uses that kind of outside stuff that I really love. So
Owen's out
great.
there.
Owen, Essex finest. That is.
Yeah.
Owen Barry. He's on tour with the Chicks, isn't he?
Yeah, he was Nashville's best kept secret. Now, not so much.
He's great. Phenomenal player. Phenomenal player.
Yeah.
So, as we're on YouTube, let's talk about this one. What are your main difficulties when producing YouTube content?
Nerves.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still play terrible on camera. I play fine until there's a camera on.
Yeah.
And, I remember early on, it was obviously red light syndrome in a recording studio. And I was able to kind of slay that dragon. But when it's a camera, it's still...
Pointing right at you.
I overthink. It's like play something, and I'll start on a theme, and then I'll way overthink it and edit it, and next thing you know, I've just drifted off into I don't know what's happening.
And it's hard to get out of that, I need to play fast, or I need to play something complicated, or something like that. I need to show what I can do, but you just don't need to do that, do you? You just people are tuning in because they want to see you just play the way that you play, but it is very hard, just for the few bits sometimes that I do, I'll sit in here, I think, oh, that sounds good, and Drew's like, yeah, that sounds great, and then he's like, you ready to do a take? And I'm like, sweat.
Yeah, and it
comes down. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you just go to hit that first chord, and you're just like completely out of tune or something.
Well, and the hardest thing too is because of the way I demo. The one thing I've had to learn to live with is don't try and reinvent the guitar wheel when you're just turning knobs and showing people the pedal. Because every once in a while someone will come at me and say, dude, you play the same 3 chords every time. It's like, well,
You have to. Well, that's the thing with kind of
demoing a product. You know, it's
if you play like through a completely different rig or using a different guitar than what you used in a load of your other stuff, you need to have like a a bit of a kind of a focus, don't you, on like you use this particular amp for a demo or anything like that, or that guitar.
Yeah.
As soon as you start changing it every time, how can you really tell what the pedal or that piece of equipment sounds like?
Yeah,
So,
I try to remain as like static as possible so
Yeah.
that the demo is honest as possible. So that's. But yeah, the hardest part is because I'm very matter of fact on camera. I don't script anything.
No.
The hardest part is just it's just nerves.
Yeah, and you start and you're like,
Yeah.
just nothing. Yeah, nothing. I can't think of anything to say now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, I'm glad you suffer from that as well.
Oh yeah.
That's good. Right. Let's talk about your favourite guitar.
This one's a great one. The thing with this one is I've had it for a good 10 years. I've got a bunch of favorites. This one tends to be the first one that I pick up every day, just because it's been out on the bus with me.
Yeah.
It's just been through a lot.
These are great.
Yeah, it's a really great guitar. This one, I've got a Tyler Elite that I absolutely adore. I've got a Grand Modesto. That's my secret weapon.
Yeah.
Duesenberg.
Yeah.
Corset 58.
Yeah.
That's a killer one. But yeah, I would say, and I tend to gravitate towards just picking up HSS guitars in general.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard to say I have a favorite. From a player's standpoint, I guess my favorite guitar is the one that got me paid.
Yeah. Well, you brought this one with you,
But
so
yeah,
maybe...
I would say this one is, like I said, it's generally the first one I pick up.
Yeah. I mean, a guitar like that, you can pretty much do everything on it, can't you? Really.
Yeah. And same with the Tyler, and but yeah, this one like I said, I've had it for a long time. We've been through a lot together.
And they just work, don't they? You know, they stay in tune great.
Yeah.
Does this one have stainless steel frets? Or
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a maintenance-free guitar, really, isn't it?
There's just barely anything in there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's crazy stable. But if it does move, easily adjusted. Yeah.
Great.
So yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So we can elaborate on this one maybe a little bit more. The question is, what music gets you excited? But maybe we could talk about kind of any like other kind of new guitarists that you might have checked out, even if it's just locally, or anyone you want to give a shout out to, or any. Let's start with kind of what kind of gets you going musically. I guess we've sort of said with Landau and stuff like that, but
yeah, because I mean, whenever I get really, really just no inspiration, I'll usually try and find some sort of live Landau thing. But honestly, it's Newgrass that I really like listening to. So Punch Brothers is a big one.
Yeah, there's
Chris
just
Steele,
just so many phenomenal bluegrass musicians coming out now.
Gosh, yeah. So that
Billy Strings, that's a guy that our Alex, who works here upstairs, he listens to him all the time, and like that stuff that he's playing on that guitar, and there's like 14s on there with like a 3mm pick, and he's absolutely slamming it, isn't he?
Yeah, he's insanity, and I've seen him with like Molly Tuttle, and of course I like to listen to like Brian Sutton. It's lately I've been kind of gravitating towards that kind of stuff, and then there's local cats that I'll just find on YouTube, and Guthrie's certainly one of them. Whenever I get to hear Owen play, that's really inspiring.
He's so good,
yeah. Of course, old Tommy Bukovac is, I love watching him play because it's something I feel like I really need to work on. Is I tend to sound better if there's some noise behind me. I have better ideas. Yeah. Whereas someone like Tom, or another guy like Jed Hughes is another guy, Nashville guy that I love listening to, will just sit down and emote like music, and I love it. Probably Julian Lange. Yeah. Julian's another one of those guys just sit there with a Telecaster and
put out incredible stuff.
Just heartbreaking stuff. So I'm a bit all over the map, I guess. But the Newgrass thing, like I said, that Punch Brothers style stuff is really, all the way back to even early Nickel Creek. I mean, that's not as crazy, but it's still beautiful stuff.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, cool, awesome. Right, this is a great question. Top 3 tips for aspiring sidemen. So what are the do's and don'ts of being a touring guitarist?
The most important rule is you serve the artist.
Yeah.
You do not represent yourself.
Yeah.
You represent yourself by representing the artist,
Yeah.
period. That's a big part. I mean, to get the gig, all you have to do is put yourself out there. You got to have the chops. You got to show up prepared. You got to know what they want you to play.
Be professional.
Be very professional. Be on time. You know, all that stuff is a given. But the thing that I have noticed in, especially the younger cats that are getting on tours and getting into some trouble, are the ones that aren't realizing, hey, you represent the artist. It's really, really important. The rest of it is, just make sure you've got proper gear. You just have to be professional. You know.
And do you find like when you're doing session stuff, is remote session stuff, is that kind of under a lot of the time? Is that under time constraints, or do you just kind of have a period where it needs to be done and then you just send it back?
Yeah, and that's what I love about it. Because it allows me to sit. Because in Nashville sessions, especially if it's demo sessions, I mean these guys are so good. They'll bang through 10 songs in a 3 hour sometimes, or at least 5. I mean they're just crazy. And for me that's moving a little too fast. I like to just sit and actually compose a part that says something somewhere as opposed to just a static. No, I'm not saying that's, I'm not slagging on Nashville. I'm not saying that's what they do, but when someone sends me a track at the house, there's no real time constraint.
It must be much more relaxing to do it that way rather than say like you've got 2 hours in the studio, you need to be set up at this time, and you've got to make sure you've got something to add to the part. So
and usually when they send me the track, they're pretty specific about what they would like to hear, and then the rest of it's kind of up to me, and then I just give them several different passes, and it usually works out great. I mean that's my favorite way to work. I don't mind having a producer in the room with me, because sometimes I'll run out of ideas and they'll hum something to me and I'll be like shoot, that'll work.
That'll work,
because that is the upside of the live tracking.
Is
there somebody's going to do something
when you're
left
to kind of be alone yourself and do it. It could be something. I mean, I guess you get hired because they know what you're going to send back is going to is going to be on the money, but there must be times where you just think like, is this going to work? Are they going to come back and say, no, it's kind of, completely wrong, not what we're looking for? So I guess having that producer there is kind of a good help.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it can be for sure.
Great, awesome. Right, so let's see on the YouTube comments, see if we've got anything that's actually talking about the pedal as well. Can you play God Save the Queen? Very good. This is kind of a cool question. I always watch your videos and love your phrasing. What is your approach to creating a great solo? Any advice? I mean, it can be as simple or as complicated as you want to respond to with that.
Yeah, soloing. It's always just. I always tell people just you're just being lyrical. You're just talking. So if you're starting a solo and it starts this way, you're going to repeat that.
Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah. And so that's a big part of it is just let that first line that you play start dictating where it's going to go
and let it breathe a little bit as well.
Yeah, and then the only other thing I tell people is, I was talking to a really great guitar player yesterday, is don't always start on the downbeat. If you can, as a practice, like try starting on the or the and take a phrase that you normally started on the downbeat and just displace it by the and with a metronome and see how that feels. It opens up your phrasing really quick. Yeah,
especially to that that kind of outside stuff is kind of like sandwiched in kind of between the beat, isn't it? And that's definitely why it makes your ear prick up a bit more, because it's not always right on the beat, is it?
Yeah, no, I would never start like a. That started on the one hand too, so it's on the E, So I catch a lot of players. They'll go to learn like an outside line and they'll take it and they'll start it on the one.
Right.
It's like, that's probably going to sit weird.
Yeah.
Try displacing it and see where. And like I said, it's a really good practice to take something you already know really well and displace it by even a 16th or an 8th. It'll feel horrible at first, but once you get it under your fingers, it's like you'll have better technique.
Yeah.
You'll have a new vision for phrasing.
And it kind of changes your lick vocabulary a lot, doesn't it?
Without changing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
Let's see if we've got anything. There's this crazy guy asking a question. Which artist or studio has the best catering? Some guy called Travis Tingley.
What?
Has Travis asked us a dumb question? Which artist or studio has the best catering?
I'm not even going to answer that.
Right, sorry, Travis. By the way, before everyone gets upset,
probably Starstruck. I'll tell you know what. I'll answer that. Starstruck.
All right.
Yeah, Reba's studio. Yep.
Done. Right, we wasn't. Travis is a mutual friend. He's actually sitting outside, just outside. So
Such a goofball.
yeah, he's trying to catch us off track here. Everything was going well until then.
It's going so well.
Right, let's get back to the questions that came in earlier. What's your go-to rig?
That's a tough one to answer.
Depends on what the gig is.
Depends on what I'm doing. I gravitate towards, for a pedal platform amp, it's either going to be the D20. If I need something hotter than that, I've got my Bella.
Yeah.
For like more of a channel gain single channel amp, I have a DS40 that I
You always sound great for that.
Yeah, I love that amp. And then channel gain amps, I have a B100 Deluxe, which is fabulous. And I also have the 120, the Generator 120.
Yeah.
But I also have the 740, which is the 4.6V6 amp.
Yeah.
That thing is killer.
Is it?
Yeah, it really does sound great, especially for the kind of semi-broken, almost like JCM 800 tones, because you can push those 6Vs and you get the bark, you know?
Yeah.
That amp sounds really great. But I would say the first amp that gets turned on is either the D20 or the Bella, because I tend to do so much pedal platform stuff. Yeah.
I guess, if you build a pedal board and that's going to be able to work with, a kind of a very clean or kind of a pushed clean sort of sound, you've got a lot of options if you're, having to use backline amps and stuff like that, aren't you?
Yeah.
If you're getting all of your tone from, if the BE100 was your, ultimate go-to amp, the chances are of having something like that when you're on the road, he's not going to be very, very unlikely.
Yeah, channel gain, not so much.
No. Well, that's where this little guy comes in. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
How do you keep your content fresh? Do you still study and practice guitar?
I sit and play a lot. I've never been a studier because I don't know any scales.
No.
I do sit and play a lot, even on my most miserable days where I'm just like, you know what?
Yeah.
I hate guitar.
Yeah.
Why do I still do this while it's in my lab?
Yeah.
I just sit and play. I will say I really need to work on, or what I want to start working on is just better chord melody ideas. I think I've been so like chops driven for so long. I feel like I need to work on that. I think that's going to be kind of a new focus for me, which is very rare because I don't have that type of focus. I just sit and play, and I'll hear something that somebody did, and it'll pique my interest, and I'll sit and have a bunch of new ideas from that. And I'll hear like I'll hear some sort of I'll wonder, okay, what is that? How can I plug that into my thing?
Yeah.
So I'll sit around and do things like that quite a bit. But yeah, as far as like methodical practicing, or even, I'm kind of set in my ways with all my techniques.
Yeah.
So I don't really work on that so much.
But if you was going to be, you knew you was going to be like playing on a country track or something like that, do you just spend like a week or so just playing a telly just to sort of immerse yourself into that a bit more?
Yeah, and then get as close as I can. It's like I play country in very small doses. Like the Carrie Underwood gig was a definite rude awakening for that. But yeah, if there's a focus, then I'm a workaholic and I'll get it till I've got it. But if I'm just playing for me, it's not super focused. I'll just hear something that inspires me and then goof around with the idea.
Yeah. So I guess that all comes back to the question earlier about being, and being professional and things like that. The prep beforehand, isn't it, as well? Getting yourself fit for that kind of event, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, that's
absolutely.
cool. Well, I've got a couple more here. Let's go. What's been your career highlight so far?
Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah.
Carrie Underwood.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Best venue in the world.
Oh my God. I couldn't believe it. It's like, am I playing Royal Albert Hall?
Yeah.
I'm like looking.
I just saw her. She came over and sung with Guns N' Roses.
Oh yeah, that's right. She's been doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Sweet Child of Mine and Paradise City. That was just like Axel was like, guys, I can't do it anymore. I can't hit those high bits, but we got a special guest, and she just like the pair of them was just so cool.
Oh yeah,
it was so good.
It's so funny because when I got the gig, you know, the first question they asked me, they didn't ask me if I could play country. They didn't ask me if I played acoustic. They asked me if I could play like Slash.
Really?
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. They were like, could you do like Sweet Child of Mine? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, she covered that, and what else did we do? Paradise City.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even back on when I was touring with her. Yeah.
Yeah. She absolutely. Yeah. She ruled. It was so good. So good. She didn't need a microphone. It was, you could just tell, like she just absolutely killed it. It was so good. So kind of wish she'd have come out a bit earlier.
Yeah.
And let's from our list of questions that came in prior to this, let's finish with this one. How did you get the gig playing with Stone Temple Pilots?
So I'll try not to make this too long. I went to high school with Scott Weiland.
Yeah.
So my twin brother and I and my older brother all went to Edison High School in California. And that's where Scotty Weiland went to school. The gig evolved because Rob DeLeo, the bass player, I became closer with him because he was working at a shop that my brother and I actually ran in Hollywood. Right. And so I had that relationship with Rob. And basically Rob reached out to me saying, hey, we're going to do this MTV Unplugged thing. Would you mind maybe helping us arrange, you know, sitting with Dean and help us arrange for acoustic? Because I was doing so much acoustic session work back then. And I was like, I don't need help, Dean. Dean's a beast. If anything, Dean's going to bury me. But yeah, it was just, they wanted like my perspective on how to approach it from, you know, an acoustic guitar player standpoint. Yeah. And that just evolved from trying to kind of help out to Dean just going, hey man, let's just come and do it with us. So yeah.
Because it's hard to make you know, some of those great songs, you know, convert them from, you know, because it's got so much attitude and drive and distortion and everything like that. How you then transpose that into acoustic is you know, you know, easy job.
Well, and at the end of the day, like Dean was already doing it. He already was. You know, so I was so blessed to get to do that. And then of course, you know, Saturday Night Live, we did the one song, so it was a lot of fun. Known those guys a long time.
Yeah, great. So you was originally based in LA.
Yeah, I didn't. I moved to LA in late '78. Yeah, I lived everywhere else before that, but there was so much industry in LA as far as the work my dad was taking that we were able to stay there. I was there for about 23 years. Yeah, and did you study guitar in any of the guitar places? No, almost went to GIT. Yeah, that's what and I was gonna. I went through the whole thing and. The only reason I wanted to go is because Larry Carlton and Robin Ford were teaching at the time. Right. And as the season was approaching, they both took off on tour. They weren't there. Yeah. So it just kind of took the wind out of my sails. And I mean, Steve Travato was there, which was cool. I wanted to hang with him. But yeah, I just kind of took, you know, I was like, it's pretty expensive. And, you know, so I ended up, that was the only time I might have actually learned to scale. Yeah. Yeah, well, there you go. No, I love... California, but we're seeing a lot of guitar players are, you know, making that the pilgrimage to Nashville now. You know, like Owen, one of them, you know, is now living in Nashville. It seems like they are, you know, Nashville is the place now, not just for country music. It's all kinds of stuff. It's everything. Yeah, because the only thing I ever tell people about Nashville is like in LA, because it's so big and spread out, the chances of you running into like a hero guitar player or even another peer guitar player are going to be fairly slim. But in Nashville, you can be standing in line. Everyone's just hanging out, aren't they? You can be standing in line for a burrito, and Brent Mason's behind you, and Pat Buchanan's already sat down, and it's just like, are you kidding me? Yeah, well, everybody just there. It's, you know, I said, because we're actually going out to Nashville this week. As I said, you know, like Nashville, it's just one of the only places in the world where I've been where you
for me anyway, you just never feel like there's going to be any trouble or anything like that. They're just, everyone's there having a good time, you know, whether it's at, 1 in the morning or like midday, everyone's there just to have a good time. And, Broadway is just, I mean, I'm sure you're probably sick of it now, but it's like, I'm going to stay with my friend Wes when we're there, and we're going to be seeing those guys. And, every time I say, look, can we go and, I want to go to Broadway. He's like, oh God, not again. Yeah. It's like our equivalent of like a Oxford Circus or Tottenham Court Road or something like that. But if you haven't been, Nashville is such a great place to go, and you've got to check out Broadway. The quality of musicians there and the talent is just incredible.
Oh yeah, every single bar you walk across or walk, around or here is just insane musicianship. And you'll poke your head in, it'll just be some kid with a Telecaster through a Princeton,
and I just love it. These guys, everybody works most of the time for tips, but they've got a credit card machine, haven't they?
Yeah,
so you can, so you can't go, sorry, I haven't got any change or any cash. They get you every time.
Yeah, they're like, no man, I got you right here.
Don't worry about that. Damn. Right, so let's check out a few of these live questions that we got. So we got here. Travis has retracted a message, so that's good. Shawn Tubbs is amazing. A lot of great hair in this interview. Very nice. We did say, we're clinging on to the COVID hair.
COVID hair.
Where are we at? Yeah, I think they're kind of. This is kind of a good gear question. What are your suggestions for small bedroom volume guitar amplifiers for practicing recording? I mean, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the D20 is ideal. Yeah.
And do you practice with a cab at home, or do you just play into...
With that, no. Especially, I mean, I'll honk through a cab at home, but the great thing about that is if I need to play it like what I would consider speaking levels. I don't really the bedroom term. It's like, but at like speaking levels. I'll run direct out of that into my DAW through the studio monitors. Sounds great, but then you can put on headphones. And the nice thing about that is you're always playing through valves.
Yeah.
It's all valves. You're only modeling on the back end, and it is a reactive load, so it still feels great. Yeah. So that would be, as far as I'm concerned, that's the top notch. Yeah. But you can take that out.
It sounds great. Just straight in as well, turned up loud, doesn't it?
You can honk through
We was playing a Les Paul for it earlier in the week, and we just had it cranked up, and it was getting some really nice Grissom and Billy Gibbons sort of tones out of it as well.
Yeah, 6V6 power tubes, man. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, can't go wrong. So I think we're kind of there with all the questions. I think maybe, Shawn, you could just play us out with some tasty licks and maybe go for a few little bits with the tilt, maybe, if you like. Yeah. Just go from there. But thanks for watching, guys. Just want to say quickly, we've got Paul Reed Smith coming to visit us on the 10th of October, where we'll be doing an in-store event in the evening. But we'll also be doing another kind of live stream event like this. So please submit any questions that you've got that you want us to ask Paul. And just want to say thanks again. And ladies and gentlemen, Shawn Tubbs, thank you.